Hey everyone, welcome back to ChaatNChat. My name is Josh.
मेरा नाम Miguel.
Whoa, dang, Hindi. All right, we are watching Good News. This is part 3. So if you missed part 1 or part 2, then you can go check those out by clicking the playlist link that I put conveniently in the description below this video. और अगर अब तक नहीं किया,
Subscribe करो, share करो, a like button पर टप्पर मारो.
Getting close.
Yeah. This company so jacked them.
I'm glad. अच्छा है तुम busy हो. बाकी की moms की तरह सोच के stressed out नहीं होती हो.
Oh, jeez, if she only knew.
I'm so surprised that the lawyers didn't tell them to keep going, told them not to continue on with that particular medical firm, but to go somewhere else for the rest of the so.
It's just that मैं उन लोग के बारे में कुछ नहीं जानती हूँ, तो हमेशा एक डर सा लगा रहता है.
तो जानने की कोशिश करो.
Yeah, if she's having that feeling, that's good advice.
तो सफर आसान हो जाएगा.
No, it just means it'll be more nasty when it comes to the end.
सत श्री अकाल आंटी जी, की हाल है? अच्छा, किट्टी पे हो? हम तो आपके पोते को साथ लेकर ही आएंगे. चलो, ओके, बाय, सत श्री अकाल.
Their furniture is so gaudy.
Well, they're kind of over the top and everything.
Yeah, 100%.
200%.
भाभी जी, अंदर आए ना भाभी जी. पानी पूरी खाओगी?
Pani puri? हाँ, बोल दे.
That's what she made, wasn't it? No, she made something else.
Yeah.
याद आ गई. किसकी? काले की गोलगप्पे.
हाँ, गोलगप्पे.
जैसे अडॉप्ट क्यों नहीं किया? अब पर अपना खून तो अपना ही होता है ना.
That's not the saying, though. Not the full saying.
आपको कहीं वो क्या है ना कि घर में तो 2 मिनट में ही गेट आउट हो जाता है. आपको पता ही है जी. सेकंड ये है कि
Yeah, neutral terms like.
Yeah.
हुआ जी साहब, लेकिन मुझे इस बात की तसल्ली है जी कि मेरा स्पैम कहीं गया ना तो अच्छे लोगों में गया सर.
That's a compliment.
एक्चुअली तो सोडा पानी पूछ रहा हूँ. मैं तो नीड पीते ना.
नहीं, मेरे लिए एक स्ट्रॉबेरी डैकरी बट वर्जिन.
Strawberry.
नहीं होगा नहीं मेरे सही. नहीं रंग तो देखो जी इसका. एक ले लो मेरे कैसे. नहीं एक ले लो. छोड़ दो इसको. प्लीज मत कर.
Judging him for his drink. Come on, man. I'll drink a strawberry daiquiri. I don't care.
हाँ होने कौन सा टाइट होना है. ले भैया सेम ले. Hey, भाई साहब.
I never one that likes someone that pushes someone to drink whatever they don't want to drink, particularly alcohol.
तुम्हें बुरा नहीं लगता? लगता तो है.
Oh, because his is part of. Okay, I get it.
ओ तेरी, क्या हुआ? किक मारी इसने फिर से. बड़ा नोटी हो गया ये.
आयो भाई साहब आयो प्लीज भाई साहब. या मत करा आयो.
They were just gonna have one, huh?
Yeah.
But this is a bit of bonding for them too. Like the girls are bonding, because if they could solve this amicably, like that's the best situation for everyone, for the kids, and it's a funny story to tell at family gatherings. If you could find a way to be friends and find a common connection, because this happened to both of them, it didn't just happen to one.
Yeah.
It happened to both, and so they have common grounds.
एक बात बताऊं, वो अपना डॉक्टर है ना, जोशी.
जोशी नहीं है वो दोषी है. दोषी है हमारा वो. और मुझे तो सुनते ही गाना याद आ जाता है. ओवरी बागा डोले आदि रात.
No.
ये बच्चे ने लात वात मारनी शुरू की कि नहीं की फिर है?
पता नहीं, मुझे नहीं पता.
Yeah, because he doesn't ask.
अब जो होना था देखो वो तो भगवान ने कर दिया. बस मुझे फिक्र इस बात की है कि आप लोगों की लापरवाही के चक्कर में मेरे बच्चे को कुछ ना हो जाए.
Yeah, because he's not engaged. Yeah, I get it.
भाभी जी के अंदर है, आपका स्पैम मोनी के अंदर आ रखा है. इससे ज्यादा पर्सनल क्या होगा?
ये क्या बकवास कर रहे थे? ये बात बताने के लिए तुमने मुझे यहाँ बुलाया था.
ओ भाई साहब.
Everyone's like, feels the tension.
बच्चे की फिक्र है। ये आपके नौकरी फोकरी के चक्कर अगर मेरे बच्चे को कुछ हो गया ना तो मैंने सबकी
Still calling it his child, his child.
मेरी सह लेता हूँ इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि तू कुछ भी बोलता चला जाए। सर प्लीज सर और भी कस्टमर्स हैं यहाँ पर।
और तू जा कर
Oh, बापरे.
शक्ल भी तो मुझसे मिलने वाली है। अब क्या होगा?
Oh boy, this is getting very weird.
ये बैठा है और ये बतरा अपना पैक खत्म करके यहाँ से उठेगा। जब देखो घर में गेट आउट और लेके आओ मेरा पैक। क्या देख रहा तू क्या देख
Yeah, he's gone a little over the edge with this one.
Yeah.
And the girls had bonding.
इसने अभी तक किक नहीं किया। डॉक्टर जोशी कह रही थी सब ठीक है, पर 7th मंथ चल रहा है, अब तक तो किक कर देना चाहिए था।
Not all babies kick.
सारा दिन यही बातें करनी है। इंसान 2 मिनट चैन की सांस नहीं ले सकता इस घर में बिना उन जोकर परिवार का नाम लिए।
It's part of your life now, man. Just accept it.
क्यों रोकेंगे? मॉम डैड है, of course excited होंगे।
He keeps saying the kid is not as his own.
इनफैक्ट कह रही है जब पैदा होगा तुम उन जोकरों को दे जाओ, मुझे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता।
But can't he feel an attachment to her? Because it's part of her. So, I mean, you don't have blood relationship with your wife.
फीवर, कोल्ड, कॉफ, कुछ भी हो जाए मेडिसिन नहीं ले सकते, नहीं तो बेबी पर असर पड़ेगा। पर इसमें कौन सी बड़ी बात है? जो पेन होता है ना वरुण, वो तुम इमेजिन भी नहीं कर सकते हो। लेकिन सब कुछ एक स्माइल के साथ सह लेते हैं हम। जब पहली बार हम इस बच्चे को देखेंगे, it'll all be worth it.
Yeah, but if you're giving that and it's only half an effort and it's not for him.
Baby has come.
Yeah.
Sure, तुम्हें ये सब realize नहीं हुआ।
There's double standards.
Yeah,
That's
and
what
I
it
get
is.
it.
He doesn't understand what she's gone through.
Yeah.
Never be able to. Maybe that'll wake him up. This late at night, well, this can only be bad news.
क्या हुआ?
लात मारी।
भाभी जी ध्यान रखिए, दीपू भी प्रेग्नेंट है।
अरे हमारे बच्चे ने लात मारी।
मिस्टर बत्रा, आप बच्चे के फादर हैं?
Technically,
Sort of,
yes.
Yeah.
बच्ची सीरियस है, उसे हम इनक्यूबेटर में शिफ्ट करें।
बच्चे?
देखना है आपको?
So maybe he just needs to have visual to feel that connection.
Maybe.
ऐसे बच्चे एक साथ swallow और breathe नहीं कर सकते, इसलिए इन्हें intravenously feed करना पड़ता है।
It's a pretty big preemie.
एक बार बस मिला तो जूहिया से।
तूने मेरे बिना नाम भी सोच लिया।
Whew. He definitely, that was a wake-up call for him.
Yeah.
Sometimes some people just need to go through a harsh experience and, you know, it really shows them what's important in life. And
Right.
it's not so much about blood and all that sort of stuff. It's about, you know, life. Baby Batra. Cute. Oh, he goes to the Gurdwara with him. That's nice. He's pretty dedicated. I mean, he's spending a lot of time at the hospital for, you know, his kid. He's feeling the connection now. Then that didn't just, okay, sure. He's what?
Oh, jeez. They made them pay.
I would still not pay. Oh
I
man,
wouldn't
you
have
are
paid.
lucky
Yeah,
lawyers did not get
yeah.
involved. Oh, all those expenses should have been
Yeah,
paid. Everything.
yeah, every bit should have been covered, no matter what.
Oh, here we go.
पापा पापा टाइम आ गया
यमराज आ गए ने
हाँ यमराज और दीपू
मेरा मैटरनिटी बैग कहाँ है?
वो बेड के नीचे है झुक के निकाल लो
Are you crazy?
Oh no.
हाय मेरे पुत्र दी स्लिप डिस्क फिर वापस आ गई
नहीं आया मेरा
Disc.
अरे कैब 11 मिनट दिखा रही है पासवर्ड क्या है
00000.
The easiest.
लेके ओला में आ जाओ
बोला
ओला नहीं ओला
Oh, Hiron.
पता नहीं बैग लेके घूमते रहते हो
Wait.
They should do that for both mom and dad.
Although it sounds pretty primitive, but squatting is an excellent position for pushing.
Oh, the interns again.
Now just calm down
Yes, good.
आई ड्रॉप से वो आई ड्रॉप
Yeah, I know. It's for me.
Yo. Terrible bedside manner.
Now, please. Oh, mother of life. Oh, father of the universe.
Oh, hell no is he doing that right now?
हाय कितनी सोनी है बिल्कुल वरुण पे गई है ना
हाँ इसका माथा और आंखें बिल्कुल वरुण जैसी हैं
Oh, they didn't tell him. Awkward.
Well, sisters, and they'll be able to.
Sister and brother, yeah.
Yeah. It'll be an interesting.
Oh my God, this is original.
Is that Karan Johar?
You think Honey had a little bit of styling influence on them?
So I thought this was just going to be a straight comedy
I thought
sort
it
of
was
thing,
too.
but it ended up having actually a lot of heart and a pretty good story because I think a lot of people, and I've even thought about that too, is I'm like, yeah, I mean, when it comes to adoption, and I would be okay with adoption, but it took me a while to even think about it and think about adopting because it's like, would I need that blood connection to feel something for a child?
Right.
And then the older I get and all that sort of stuff, I start realizing it's not like that. It's about life and sharing a life with somebody, whether it's a child or a spouse or family that we make and friends or in a pet too, because I feel like that you don't need to have a blood relationship with your pet to feel, like you'd go to the ends of the world for him.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's just, it's a very interesting movie how they did this. Now the premise was just super fun. Like it was a very fun premise. Like I was like into it. It was really funny. And then somewhere it just like lost like some of that comedy and went more into like really drama, especially with the baby, because that is really hard.
Yeah.
It's like super hard stuff to watch and just because it's so heartbreaking.
Well, at that point, I think there was also a bit of the whole bit babies and just birth and creation of life is just so you realize the magnificence of it. And the fact that she had had 2 miscarriages before, it was truly a miracle. And so it's, that I think comes into play a lot of times. I think one of the things that you mentioned it as you said, it's like they were something that was halfway a step to adoption, yet wasn't, because it was like, well, it's half, you know?
Yeah.
And I think the problem that arose really badly was that they were given this hope of a child. They'd been trying, both couples had been trying for so long to get, you know, have a conceive, and it just wasn't happening. And then when you know that was their expectation, and then suddenly it was like pulled out from underneath them in a way that was terrible. And I really
you get
think
your
that
expectations high, and then anyone will feel disappointment when something isn't going their way or the ideal situation.
Right.
But you know, you have to accept what God gives you and move on with it, right? Now, it is a little unbelievable. Well, here in America, we're the land of like lawyers and suing people, right? So here in the US, it's like the very first thing on anyone's mind, if like an American or something happens, is like sue, sue, sue. And there's no way you would ever drop that. And I thought it was funny because she said, this isn't America, you know, but you know, here that would be like crazy. And because the people are so big, like she's even like, oh yeah, they're big popular doctors and stuff, right? Like they have a big name. Well, here even more so, then you would get a giant settlement. But at the end of the day, and I think this is maybe an argument that she might have, is at the end of the day, it's still like, it's not about money, because both families were actually well off. They weren't in need of money. You could tell that by their apartment, by the things they had, the cars they're driving, all that sort of stuff. So it's not about the money. And, you know, so suing them, what it would do is, like what they said, is it would bring it to the media, and they would have this whole craze, and then she'd like, they're gonna make a Bollywood movie out of it. So
yeah, but I think, you know, the company would have gone way out of its way to make sure that we do this in a closed court and a closed settlement, and everybody would basically be shushed and everything. And
you'd have NDAs signed.
There would be so many NDAs,
stuff,
and there was
but that stuff always gets out. Someone's going to talk.
Well, but again, in the U.S., when those things get out, then people have, oh, well, I can now sue you for even more money. And
not if it was just someone that happened to be, because the whole hospital's
the whole hospital, they have to comply with HIPAA, and HIPAA is yet another law that in the U.S. that they'd have to.
Or if a janitor overheard or
even
something
a janitor,
like that.
if you work at a hospital or medical.
But anyway, I think like here it was like first really hard for me to get over it, and then you just ignored the whole part that they didn't sue. But then the hospital should, as you said, go completely out of their way to make sure everything is handled perfectly with them. But it's not about that. Again, that would just sidetrack the story and all that, and that's a whole nother issue. Here, we're focusing on the emotional connection between parent and child, and do you need that blood relationship with the child? And for me, if my wife was pregnant with someone else and this whole mix-up would happen, I would still feel a connection because I feel a connection with my wife. So for my wife's child, I'd be like, half of that blood is part of someone that I feel this connection to already. So I would care for the child, and you know, so that would be enough for me, to be honest.
Right. He did kind of allude to it a little bit. I don't remember exactly how he said it and everything, but you know, this is another man's child. Okay, and you're asking me to accept them. You know, in so many cases, women have found out that they're pregnant after a rape or any other sort of bad situation, and suddenly they're trying to decide, you know, what are they going to do? And there have been many a father that have stepped forward and said, I'm still standing by you, and you know, and I'm going to raise this child as my own.
Well, it's ultimately her decision,
and
you know. So if she decides, I mean, for me, it would come down to, okay, this is, I'm behind you no matter what you choose, what you decide to do. I'm there for you, and you know, if you decide to have the child, I'm there, and I'll be the child's dad. And I think that is, you know, like women, they have the choice. It's their body. It is their body. You can't force them to do one thing or another.
I did love how she went through that just litany of what all mothers go through, you know, for giving a child a life. And you know, often men overlook that or don't think that, you know, think it's something other, and you know, they don't really appreciate or empathize enough to that aspect of it. That, you know.
And I thought that scene was super powerful when she was explaining all of the things that women go
Yes,
through during the
yes.
pregnancy. Like that was really powerful, and that actually maybe made him stop and think like, holy cow, yeah, it's not just like pop a bun in the oven and then ding, it comes out, and then as easy as that. It's not like an apple pie.
Right.
It's a baby. It's a human life. It's a miracle.
Yeah,
like this
and-
whole
yeah.
thing, your whole body changes to make this happen.
Well,
So
and
it's very
particularly for hers, as she, they were an older couple than a younger couple, and so there was, all sorts of extra additional things that she was dealing with, and thinking, this may be my only child that I'm going to be able to have, and that never really came up. But I got a little sense of it.
Yeah,
that
because
she
they
was-
talked about it, and even the doctor, when she was in there for like maybe having the procedure done or not, she even said that like, look, this could be like the one time you've been trying for all this time. This could be the one time. So I thought they kind of covered that.
And
So throughout
they kind of told him in an indirect way, yeah, you guys, your sperm kind of.
they just get knocked out, man. They lose
They-
consciousness. They just faint.
They go to
That's
sleep.
funny. No,
They
I
faint.
thought
they faint.
Yeah, I thought the funny thing, I mean, I really did think that the comedy parts were really funny. I really liked that. And I love that they had these two very different lifestyles clash. And it was just really fun to watch. And I do have to say that I actually liked maybe the first half better, the comedy parts, because I was like there for a comedy, but then after that it kind of got into like this debate and emotional drama and that sort of stuff, and that part was a little more difficult to watch, and you almost have to be prepared to watch a movie that is going to go that deep and that far. So for me, I was like thinking it was like full on going to be comedy, and then I didn't expect that deepness. So.
Yeah, and the thing was that I kind of, for me, it was a very rough shift from the comedy to the drama.
Yeah, you like hit a wall.
Yeah, you suddenly hit a wall, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I don't know how much more comedy we're going to see, if any.
Right.
And
because then it'd be weird after that. But then they sort of like started shifting the mood once we realized that the baby's okay. And then after we found out the baby's okay, then they went back to some more comedy, which was good. And you know, it was a sort of transition.
I love that, suddenly it's the grandparents and everybody all trying to load them up in the car, and I was just kind of like,
and then that just shows you it takes a community.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good theme here too, because like that's a big saying, right? Like we all say it takes a community to raise a child. It's not just mom and dad, it's a full community. And for them, Varun and his wife, like for them, they were like two separate living away from their parents and all that sort of stuff, right? So for them, it's like they didn't have that community. So in a way, having that, like the other Bataras from Punjab come in,
Honey
it made their community bigger, and they would have been in a world of hurt if his slip disc went like that, and the grandparents and and it would have been bad. But since they had this connection, I mean, it all worked out, and it really showed you that these connections that we have in life come up and are a benefit in life. So what would you rate it?
And one other thing, just kind of on that community, family, and everything, they did touch upon it a little bit, where it was like the whole pressure from community to have kids, and I think that. That's good. But at a certain point, there are some people that are just going to say, hey, look, it's not going to work for us, or for whatever reasons that they may have. And I get it that people really view it as, hey, it's about family, it's about building family and everything. But man, sometimes people just gotta back up a little bit, take a couple steps back and let people do and be what they want to be.
Well, that's everywhere though too. Like it's a world thing, because it's kind of what's expected. There's these steps in life that you have to take, and if you don't fit that norm, then people are going to think that, oh, you're weird. Why aren't you doing this? This is the step you're supposed to take. This is the next progression. So what are you going to rate it?
What am I going to rate it? I am going to give this a 7.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I decided a while back, I decided I'm going to give it a 7.5, because, I really thought that the comedy parts, so I don't know, like, I really liked the comedy, but like that was really funny. I laughed. I full-heartedly was laughing like through the whole like beginning of the movie and all that sort of stuff. And then maybe I just think that it was kind of tough to go into like this really deep thing from such a high-end comedy, like high octane comedy, to then like going into like being like, oh my gosh, I was just not ready for this.
Yeah.
Whereas a movie that is sort of similar is Mimi. But Mimi, yes, it was funny. There were like funny parts about it, but I think it was pretty deep from like relatively the start, because you already were talking about someone that had a hard life, and she was like, she was trying to get by and do her thing, but her dreams couldn't come true to do this and do that. And I mean, so Mimi, it was there, and we understood that, okay, this isn't going to be a full comedy, like there are going to be like some pain points to it. Now, in this one, I guess I didn't expect that. And did it work? Maybe not as well as Mimi, in my opinion. Like, I thought Mimi was maybe a more successful movie. So for that reason, I'm going to give it a 7.5. Because...
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. There were places where I was like going, I should be feeling a little bit more emotional about this. And I wasn't there.
I think because we've seen them as comedy characters, and then all of a sudden to like see them as like these really emotional characters was a little hard. And I'm not saying you can't do that, because we did see it a little bit in Mimi, and I think it was just because they balanced it a little bit better. And then here it definitely felt like there was this section and then this section. And I just didn't think that it blended well in the middle. But the bookends were nice, but then the middle was just a little hard to blend. But anyway, it was still enjoyable for like a one-time watch. It was funny. It was, you know, a bit like that. So, and it had a very big message, you know, about community and love and what family is, because family is not defined by genes, connections, and stuff like that. And I'm a huge believer in that. But you guys let us know in the comments, what did you think and what would you rate it? And, you know, is very interested to know, and I'll be looking forward to hearing your opinions. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing, sharing, or like button पर थप्पड़ मारो.